We're going to continue back with Isaiah 54. It continues here in verse 11 through 14. Behold, this is the Father speaking to Zion again. I will set your stones in antimony, and your foundations I will lay in sapphires. Moreover, I will make your battlements of rubies and your gates of crystal and your entire wall of precious stones. All your sons will be taught of the Lord, and the well-being of your sons will be great. In righteousness you will be established. You will be far from oppression, for you will not fear, and from terror, for it will not come near you. You got the mentions here of the stones. I saw a couple people mentioned in the chat talking about the isotropic versus anisotropic stones.
New Jerusalem, it said, is built, made up of 12 precious stones that we would make into jewelry now. Now here's the fascinating thing, which to me is the final proof that that book is the Word of God, that it must be God-inspired. In the last generation only, we've discovered how to make purer light than we had before. Most light is bouncing around, waves crashing into each other, going in all directions, so that the light coming from that spotlight still lights this side of my face by reflecting off that tinsel up there. We're used to light coming at us from all directions. But we've now discovered how to send light in one direction. Laser light is the most common. You've seen laser light beams straight as a die. But we've also got what we call cross-polarized light. A polarized filter, if you can imagine, allows light through like that. But if you put another polarized filter at right angles to that, you've really got a very fine filter. If you take sunglasses and take one lens and put it at right angles to the other, it goes even darker. It only lets very straight light through. Now, people have taken jewels and precious stones and cut a very thin slice for microscopic purposes, and then shone cross-polarized light through them to see what happens. To put it very crudely, what happens to these precious stones in pure light? And one of two entirely different things happens with every jewel. The technical term, to give you a bit of science for a moment, is anisotropic jewels and isotropic jewels. Now what happens is this. Some jewels in pure light, whatever their color to begin with, they may be red, blue or green, turn into all the colors of the rainbow and the most fantastic patterns. Other precious stones in pure light lose all their color, just go black, look like a lump of coal dust. And it's only in this generation that people have discovered this unusual property. For example, diamonds in pure light are nothing.
Did you get that, ladies?
They're not
Did you
even
hear that? Diamonds, nothing.
Nothing.
They won't be there.
No, so make the most of them here. Rubies, garnets, just lose everything.
Emeralds.
No, they keep it.
Oh, good.
There are other stones that are anisotropic and go into these beautiful colors. Now here's the fascinating thing. The 12 precious stones that God uses to build the New Jerusalem are all anisotropic. In pure light, they are all far more beautiful. And God doesn't touch the diamonds or the rubies. He doesn't build with them. Now, let's just put on the screen a picture of these stones.
Yeah.
Look at the top 12 stones on this picture, and you'll see the stones of the New Jerusalem. Look at the 4 bottom ones at the bottom of the picture, and you'll see they're black, no attraction whatever. Now then, who knew this 2,000 years ago? No scientist knew it. Nobody knew it. John the Apostle, writing down the book of Revelation as the Lord dictated it to him, he didn't know. Nobody knew except one person in the entire universe, and he knew, and that was God himself.
Where is that written exactly?
Revelation 21,
Right.
halfway through, and you'll find all the 12 stones listed there. And you can just imagine from the picture we've seen on the screen how beautiful the New Jerusalem is going to be. No need for do-it-yourself decoration or changing rooms there. No need. The materials that God uses will be fabulous.
From verse 19,
That's
21
right.
verse 19.
Read them out.
The first foundation was jasper,
Yeah.
the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth carnelian, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase,
Chrysoprase.
the 11th jacinth, and the 12th amethyst.
No diamonds, no rubies, no garnets, because they're isotropic. Now, isn't that amazing? To me, that one thing alone would prove that the Bible was inspired by God, because nobody could have known this. They didn't know it until our generation.
Yeah. Sometimes people have called my brain a dull rock from time to time when I don't get stuff. So I'll be excited when we get this glorified body with this living amongst these glorified stones of light. That'd be amazing.
The next passage in Isaiah 54 is interesting. Would you read it?
Sure. It's here in 15 through 17. It says, if anyone fiercely assails you, it will not be from me. Whoever assails you will fall because of you. Behold, I myself created the smith who blows the fires of coals and brings out the weapon for its work. And I have created the destroyer to ruin. No weapon that is formed against you will prosper. And every tongue that accuses you in judgment you will condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their vindication is from me, declares the Lord.
There was the heritage, right? Inheritance, as it would say in some other translations that mean the same. This is the inheritance of the servants of the Lord, the promised land, right? And I love that verse. No weapon that is formed against you will prosper. This is the Father speaking to the New Jerusalem. That verse is kind of a moniker of famously being taken out of context and misapplied. But it's beautiful to say that, but we can prove that weapons have prospered against people of God over and over again. So unfortunately, that would kind of make the statement a lie if it was applied how people like to apply it. But the reality is that no weapon formed against the New Jerusalem will prosper. Now,
was it Matthew? I think it was Matthew that was quartered and dragged by horses through the streets until he died. So I doubt he was quoting this verse as he was bouncing his head off the street.
Exactly. Good grief. Stephen stoned to death, right?
Yeah.
The Messiah. So this is speaking to the New Jerusalem. And so I included this visual here of fire coming down out of heaven. Now, Revelation does say out of heaven from God. And would you go to the next slide? Okay, so it says here in Zechariah 2:5, for I, declares the Lord, will be a wall of fire around her, and I will be the glory in her midst. So the Father does appear to have something to do with this. He created the New Jerusalem and whatever capability she has to help defend herself. But I noticed in Revelation, it does say the fire comes down from God and that he will be the fire around her. I think that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very beautiful. Do you want to play this real quick?
Yeah, so this is Revelation 20. Starting at verse 7, and we got some more Alexander Scorby and some visuals to show one of these fascinating capabilities of the New Jerusalem.
And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven, and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast of false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever.
There it is. The crowd goes wild. Cheers. But yeah, so that hopefully this will help some people that see Revelation 20 and then they see the consecutive order of Revelation 21 coming after Revelation 20. Well, what we just watched is an event that happens at the end of the millennial reign, and it says Satan goes out to deceive people, which means there are people that are able to be deceived, which we would say are mortal survivors of the nations who make it through the tribulation, repopulating the earth during the millennial reign, not having already received the promises of the covenant to be made resurrected and live in the New Jerusalem. They're outside the New Jerusalem. Satan goes out to deceive them after he's let out after the 1,000 years, which means there's people on the earth, survivors of the nations. And then the other thing, it says that they come to surround the beloved city, which means the city is already on the earth. It doesn't say they got to wait for the kingdom to come down there at the millennial reign and then go and try to siege the city for fire to come down. It says it's already there. And then Revelation 21 is kind of a back statement. It's looking back at the beginning of the millennial reign when the kingdom comes down. He's being shown that vision, and they just put it there at the very end. But the order isn't maybe what you think.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important. We talked about the relevance of the kingdom come a little bit. We hinted at it during our Leviathan Behemoth episode.
Yeah, we did. That those Leviathan and Behemoth creatures will serve to feed the mortal survivors of the nations, making it through the tribulation, who survived the day of the Lord.
And they do that at the edges of the kingdom because they come to the kingdom for that. So,
yes, sir.